Welcome back to the Dino Vidala Show. It is Friday, December 5th, and it's the third hour. Can only mean one thing on this show because of complete lack of creativity. It's called What Just Happens. We've been doing it for years. And look, we have three great people. Back here, we've got Carolina Hidalgo, comedian, podcaster, No Dogs in Space on the Last Podcast Network, and probably 5 other podcasts since I saw you like a month ago because there's all iterations. Nice.
Yes.
How's everything?
No, I'm glad to be back. You did forget returning champion because I won once in 2021.
You're a returning champion.
But yes, it is true. I am a returning champion to the Dino Vidala Show. So it's good to be here.
Also a returning champion, Tara Dublin, a writer, political commentator. She has the book. She's holding up a cup. I'm not sure what that means right now, but also the book, The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story. Her Substack, you have to subscribe, substack.com @Tara Dublin, or just go to Tara Dublin Substack. And probably other things. I can't keep up with all of you. You guys are all so busy. How are you?
It's true. My cup says we fucking hate Donald Trump. That's all.
Nice. Are you selling that now? Is that merch?
No, but that's a great, no. People tell me I should take my Donald Trump screenshot of my block that I have had for 10 years and make that into merch. But not everyone has earned that, but everyone should fucking hate Donald Trump. So this is available widely. Just Google it.
Just go. And Alex Pearlman, who is making up merch right now, creating a new podcast, comedian, I would say truth teller. He's been delighting audiences with his 3-minute rants across social media. His Pearlmania 500. He's got more than 1 million followers on Instagram, and he tours as a comedian and a podcast. Too Many Tabs, right? That's the one with your wife?
Yeah, I got Too Many Tabs with my wife, and I just rolled out Crashing Out with Phil DeFranco and Alex Pearlman. That's a new one where we do news content similar to this. And then, speaking of touring, I'll be at Helium Comedy Club December 20th and 21st. So if you like hearing me yell here for over this next hour, you can hear just me alone screaming for an hour on stage.
At Helium, which is a really nice comedy club.
Which one, though? They're national.
Helium in Philadelphia.
Okay. You got to come to the Helium in Portland so we can hang.
I have been. It's a great club. I love all the Helium locations. I love all the Helium locations with the exception of Indianapolis.
And is there a reason why in Indianapolis? What happened?
Because it's in Indiana.
Indianapolis.
It's the worst. Have you ever had food in Indiana? It's garbage. It's a terrible place.
Nothing is good. There's nothing in the state of Indiana.
I mean, Garfield. That's about it.
Is Garfield from Indiana?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Well, they didn't. This is how bad Indiana is. They never brought it up. I was screaming at him. Yeah, no, I couldn't stand it. I was awful place.
Is Butler University in Indiana? I performed at Butler University years ago when I was a comedian. I think they were okay. All right, so let's get to the fun stuff here. That what I love about this is just I'm not even sure what the right term, lack of self-awareness or whatever. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump at his cabinet meeting Tuesday literally said, quote, "I'm sharper than I was 25 years ago," slammed the New York Times for doing a story about him last week that he's slowing down and having cognitive decline, and then went on to fall asleep numerous times during that very cabinet meeting. And the corporate media barely covers it. They write things like, he looked like he was resting his eyes, or his eyes were closed a few times. He was fighting. He was sleeping. There's a Marco Rubio sitting next to him, and he's just like this. Like if your boss just started closing their eyes during a meeting and started leaning like that, you'd be like, should we call someone? The guy's present. He's like, I guess that's kind of cute. So, Carolina, what is going on with this idea that Trump just falls asleep? He fell asleep in the Oval Office, fell asleep yesterday. He leans on things and begins his eyes like this. What's going on?
Seriously, I mean, as it used to be known, of course, that being president must be exhausting, must be a lot of work, right? 4 to 6 hours a night. And, Trump at this point, I mean, I don't know if he's actually being president or just doing the tutorial or showing up to these things, or whatever it is. But I imagine 3 hours of these milquetoast people that he has put on there on his cabinet talking at him must be exhausting at this point, which is one of the finer points of hell of like, oh, you get what you want, and now the rest of your life is going to be just boring.
Maybe he's just bored,
really
right?
It's a very, very small smiting.
He wants chaos. He wants it to be the Piers Morgan show where people are yelling at each other. Right? And instead, it's just like sitting around. Everyone's like, "You're the greatest. You're the greatest. You're the great." Afterwards, like, "Okay, I get it. I'm the greatest. I'm going to take a nap now." Tara, what do you make of it? I don't know if you saw his makeup yesterday at the event with the leader of Congo. It looked like pre-embalmment makeup. Like it looked they were getting us funeral directors. Like, can I just talk to you for a second? Let me just put this on because we might be seeing you soon.
This is what we call sundowning. He's
Yeah.
he has dementia. It's obvious. And what is happening now when someone gets older and they get further and further into dementia, their circadian rhythms like just leave them and they're up all night and they're sleeping during the day. And that's why he was up all night the other night doing what it was at 150 shit posts on Truth Social. He's backwards. He's upside down. He's literally in the upside down. Day is night, night is day. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't want to be where he is. He's never had an interest in being president. So he's bored. He's not sleeping, and they're pumping him full of who knows what to try to keep him awake.
Yes.
That will make him crash. So, hey, Jake Tapper, maybe write a book about this instead, because if Joe Biden once had a sore throat at a debate and everybody lost their fucking minds.
Did you see his new makeup on his hand yesterday?
I
He
mean,
had
for
new makeup they were talking about. It was like really,
the man is
really nice.
done. The repeated ports in the hand. They're propping him up with a million different things. We'll never know actually what's wrong with him, but what is really wrong with him is dementia. And anybody else would be in a home right now, not the White House.
Well, we're paying for. Alex, do you think he's going to put out a hand makeup because he wants to profit off everything? Donald Trump hand makeup.
Well, I want to know. I want to know what the
like this and.
I want to know what the cocktail they got him on. I think it's the beauty pageant cocktail that they give to the 12-year-olds because they need to keep them they're trying to keep them focused, right? They're trying to keep them up, but they also need him to not be too rambunctious because they don't need him to hop out of his chair because he might fall over. I mean, the only thing right now, the biggest thing, I think, keep thinking back to, it was just 2 weeks ago, right? We had Zohran Mamdani up there.
Yeah.
And he was acting a completely different person. Going to Tara's point about the dementia, because I've been calling him Dementia Donnie for a little bit here.
Ever.
It's the big thing is there's good days and bad days. He has good days and bad days. And some days he wakes up and that's my little communist and we're going to invade New York City. And then the next day he loves the guy. And then you're looking at him and be like, what part of Don is leaning right today? Usually it's his mouth and his droop. We're stuck here. I've had grandparents with dementia, and there's these weird moments where some days you can convince yourself that everything's fine because they have good days and they have bad days. And as we're sitting around here, look, he's surrounding himself with younger and younger women who luckily the press secretary is used to dealing with old men, so she kind of knows how to wrap this all together. Okay, so there's a lot happening right now, but I think the biggest thing for me when I was watching that press conference and we see that cabinet meeting was when Kristi Noem said that the presence of Donald Trump is keeping away hurricanes. His pure existence. She said he's keeping away hurricanes, and maybe there's something there just from the hot air coming out of his asshole as he's falling asleep in his chair that might be pushing back against the low pressure systems. But that's about the bare minimum that I can see coming from him.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I didn't put that on the list of things, but that was in a week of just left and right issues. That one really stood out. And online, everyone was like, no, it's not a cult. Don't call it a cult. Like, don't say
that
it's
was
a cult.
Baghdad Bob. That was North Korea. That was every single one of them. Their dictators wept when they saw that. They're like, he got the weather? They gave him weather control?
Oh, man. No fair.
But Tara, do you think they brainstorm these? They give okay, Kristi, come here. You're going to say he stopped hurricanes. She goes, no, you are. Or do you think she makes it up? Has she come up with it? Like, I'm wondering how this works. They hand out little cards before?
I think it's all the Botox that has frozen whatever's left of her brain. She's stuck with Alina Habba's Ivanka face forever now. So, they are all terrified of what might happen if he is removed from office, because then they're all going down. Because remember, he's not a take one for the team guy. He's a take everyone down with him guy. So if they keep propping him up and be like, hey, Frank, you're the champ. You're the best. Like Sinatra used to keep those people around. It's the same mob mentality. You're the champ. You're the greatest. Because if they don't do that, then he'll give them the Marjorie Taylor Greene treatment. He will cut you loose as soon as you stop being useful to him. So they're like, okay, you're great. You're healthy. You're raring to go, Paul. We love you. So it's pure terror on their part. I don't know why they're scared of him,
but also speaking of Tara's point, this is also one of the you mentioned before. He's 79 years old. We're going to be in a post Donald Trump world at some point, right? Time comes for us all. And when that happens, all these guys are also trying to look around. We're in a succession crisis right now. It's not going to be JD. JD's getting kicked out of
ID?
group chats. He's getting kicked out of group chats and nobody's telling him there, Dean.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But look, it's interesting. Carolina, there's another, like you can look at the cabinet meeting different ways. And I try to, it almost seems like, in a movie where grandpa's dying and everyone's trying to be nice to be in the will. They're like, you're the smart, no, you can stop hurricanes. No, what? Like, damn it.
With your magic
You
Sharpie.
just escalated hurricanes. How
We
am I
all
gonna top
just
that?
had Thanksgiving. Like we've all had that thing where we kind of had to like just pretend that grandma is not hawking up a loogie like in the middle of pie and things like that.
She could rewrite her will at any moment. Like you're
Exactly.
like, oh, she's got all the money. I got to be nice. I want a sports car.
I got to stay here. Yeah, exactly. You kind of get all locked in, right? With all this pressure. And that's what a 3-hour cabinet meeting probably is. It's just like one up in the other. And then he is like Alex said, he is like kind of like the token that they have to keep propping up until, his head finally rolls off.
Well, the worst part is that meeting could have been an email, but he can't read. So that's why we're stuck. He famously doesn't read.
But the truth is, I mean, Tara, they see him declining right there in front of them.
Of course
we
they
have
do.
to get photos of his hand, but they see his hand. They see him with his hand over his hand. They see him during the meeting. They see him going like this. They saw him in the Oval Office meeting where he was no doubt fell asleep and the guy fainted and Trump just stood up there and looked like this.
Oh my God,
forward.
so embarrassing.
And you're like, I was at Mitch McConnell, brain freeze. They see all of it. And like none of them goes like, we should probably talk about this. Or maybe they are. Maybe behind the scenes, do you think there's an actual conversation?
Oh,
If anyone,
yeah.
JD
Yes.
is very
Oh,
dreamy.
for sure.
They are there's all kinds of plans. I mean, have you seen Death of Stalin?
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
Oh, yeah.
that kind of thing. There's gonna be a lot of running around and like a lot of like, where do we put the body? And shuffling through the hallway. Like, I'm
sure.
sure it's gonna. We're just
The one
waiting
day
for
they
that.
call up, they're like, the old man's on the ground, and they like in Death of Stalin.
What do we
and they
do?
come
What
in,
do we do?
And he's laying there, and they can see. Go ahead.
It's like they're playing Weekend at Bernie's as a distraction from the Epstein files. Because remember, everything they're
Yes.
doing, from bombing Venezuelan boats to this bullshit, it's still a distraction from Epstein, and the Epstein files are coming out in a couple of weeks or less. And
December
there's
19th.
and there's even more than what the horrific images that we saw this week from the Epstein files. If there are Republicans still up his butt and after seeing the photo of like the room with the masks on the wall and the medical chair, it's vile and it's disgusting. And they all have to pretend it's not real because, again, they're all worried about going to prison. Treason has consequences. So I would say, to me, wouldn't want his stench on me, right? Well, that's why we're seeing this mass Republican exodus from the House. Marjorie's going, Troy Nehls is going, and they're not going to be the last.
His
Right,
evil twin
so-
brother's taking over. This is unbelievable.
Great. That's great.
I'm not even
So,
kidding. It's
I know.
insane.
I know. But we are reaching a real tipping point here. Articles of impeachment are being introduced against both punch drunk Pete Hegseth and another impeachment three-peat against Donnie Dementia. So there is a system in place to remove all of this illegitimate regime and get our rightful president in place. It's lengthy, but it's called Article 2, Section 4. And you follow that and you just do it. It would take some time, but I think what we need to realize is that it no longer matters what it says on your voter registration card. You either love this country or you love Trump. There is
Fair enough.
You
Let's
can't
all
do
vote.
both.
What
You
do we vote
can't
for?
do both.
Hang on.
That's the thing.
A quick thing. Alex, did you see Troy Nehls' brother is now got endorsed by Trump? Troy Nehls' brother is a member of Congress, and he's his twin. And they must have sat around like, who can we put in there?
Same
that
diff.
People won't even notice.
He won't even notice
Because
the
like, I have a
difference.
twin brother. Like, get out of here. You got a twin brother.
Yeah,
And that's it. They got a
This is
twin
we're
brother.
getting into
It's insane.
this is
It's like a
perfect
soap
for
opera.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's saying this is perfect for a 79-year-old with dementia. It's exactly like a soap opera. They have the one come in. Well, which one's the evil one? I don't know. Give one a mustache. But to Caroline's point, though, real fast, just because she mentioned the movie The Death of Stalin, I love that movie so much. I would like Stephen Miller cast for Bavaria for the end of that role and how that movie ended. That's a deep cut for people who understand Soviet history and the way kangaroo colt should run. But with all this, no, I mean, just in general, we're staring at. Everyone can see the crash. Everyone sees it happening in slow motion, but everyone is terrified to take away grandpa's car keys. That's really where we are. We're stuck in this
Yes.
weird situation. We've all been there who've had older family members who you can all tell it's beyond. We've gone beyond. It's no longer, it's not even fun to joke about anymore. We're in a very terrifying era.
We are.
And it's like, as a father of a toddler, if Donald Trump pulled up in a car and said, I'll give him a ride to daycare, I would be absolutely not. Not only just because of how he drives, but also the Epstein stuff. But that's a different thing.
And by the way, as an aside, Troy Nels is dropping out, and his twin brother's name is Trevor. So they almost have the same name. They're going to just call it T Nels and put it on. And it is like the soap opera where the guy, that's the same actor, isn't it? No, it's his evil twin now.
He
His
has a
twin
mustache.
brother, who's never served in any office before, but they're like, we don't want to lose this seat.
That's literally a plot from a movie. That was a plot from a movie. What was the movie? Where the guy goes, Eddie Murphy played it, where he changes
yes,
his name.
Bowfinger. No,
No, not Bowfinger. No,
That's a great movie, though.
No, it's an Eddie Murphy movie from the 80s about becoming a congressman, and he realizes his name is very close to the congressman who just died.
Yes.
And he's just like, yeah, we'll just do this. And he goes into the Silver Fox party. I can't remember the name of it, but
it worked.
And it worked. But this is kind of the same thing. Is for Troy versus switching over to the brother. They both have the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, just
they're
put T-Nels.
twins. They're identical twins. It's not even like this is the world we live in. We've jumped the shark. This has jumped the shark years ago. Well, now a baby will be introduced at some point. Like Melania is pregnant. Like next week, like, what? She's pregnant. Damn it. That's where we are. That's where we are. It's a storyboard. We have it right here. Like it's
been barren the whole time.
Right.
God.
I'm chatting with Carolina Hidalgo, Tara Dublin, Eric Pearlman. So let's continue. This was kind of fun. Trump's approval ratings are an all-time low right now in reputable polls, not just dream polls, but like Gallup poll down to 36%. In the Rasmussen poll, which Trump loves, he's at his lowest now. He's got a 43% approval rating overall on that. And strongly disapprove is almost double the strongly approve in the Rasmussen poll. That's how bad things are for the guy. And I don't get a sense of doesn't want to correct the vote. They asked him again last night about affordability, Democratic hoax. That's what's weighing you down, dummy. Like you got to at least pretend to care. He won't even pretend to care. I mean, Carolina, how is the economy by you? How are prices by you?
I mean, of course it's insane. Over here, we're in California and jobs and everything. But it's not even, it's beyond that, especially being in Los Angeles. It is a lot of the Hispanic community, as you know, being like, oh, and then this is what drives me crazy too, because I remember taking an Uber before this previous election, and this guy, he was an immigrant as well, and he was speaking with a very heavy accent. He's like, yes, I'm going to vote for Trump. If I could, I would vote for Trump. He couldn't even vote for Trump. He's like, they're going to get rid of all the illegals and everything. And I'm like, dude, you and I are not, no, they're not going to do that. And so who knows where that guy is today, but I would have to say that the lower approval rating is finally Hispanic men and some Hispanic women finally starting to realize, like, oh, no, they're not going after what the White House says, pedophiles, rapists, and gangsters, which are apparently all Hispanic people. And no, they're actually going after like grandmothers and hardworking people and people who are actually trying to continue on their path to citizenship and everything. And that is the biggest part of here in Los Angeles. And I mean, trust me, it blew my mind in 2016 when my mom told me of like, oh no, you don't understand. You have cousins who voted for Trump. And I'm like, what? I didn't know that was, it was.
Hidalgos? How dare they?
Exactly.
That's amazing. All right. So Tara, what do you point at the reason that Donald Trump's approval rating, even among Republicans, it's not dropped a lot, but it went from a low 90s to like mid 80s, which is sizable, to be honest, for him.
First of all, is this the winning that MAGA was promised? I don't think it is. And also what's really funny is Rasmussen and Trump both have me blocked on Twitter. But here is
really?
Republicans are waking up to the reality of what Rick Wilson says, which is everything Trump touches dies. And it may take longer for some things than others, but you can't tell people who are spending more money on everything that the economy is booming. You can't tell people who, like me personally, I live in Portland, Oregon, and when I did my Thanksgiving food shopping, and I only bought the things for the 3 side dishes and a couple of other basic groceries, 2 bags of groceries, $75.
Wow.
That is not what I spent last year. I spent a lot less last year. Everybody spent a lot less last year. And if anybody had listened to the economic experts, including the 23 Nobel Prize winning economists before the election, they said that Trump's tariffs would crash not just the American economy, but the global markets. But Kamala Harris, who was an economics major, her plan was vastly superior. But that's fine. What do we know about anything? Donald Trump is hurting his own people, and his own people are finally waking up to it. That's what's happening.
And Alex, I mean, you
Yes.
interact a lot with the younger people, children, a lot of toddlers you talk to, I understand, like your own.
I do. I talk to a lot of them. Listen, I mean, the big thing is I'm here in southeastern Pennsylvania, outside Philly, and Pennsylvania. A lot of people keep forgetting Pennsylvania in this last election was a red state. Even though people try to say we're a blue state all the time, we really are a very purple state. And I actually live in a very purple county. And so I've seen the split. I know exactly which neighbors of mine had Trump signs out in the front lawn. I know exactly which cars I'm used to seeing with Trump bumper stickers on them. They vanished. They've all vanished. They're all hiding into the woodwork because the big part is first thing to Carolina's point. Speaking about demographics in general, yes, we had actually Latino men, especially men here in our area who were very heavy Trump supporters. And it was because they were being targeted through podcasts, they're being heavily targeted through social media and other different things that were telling them that this wasn't going to be about them. They are now seeing the change in that. Well, the same thing actually happened with black men as well. They made it an economics issue over a quote unquote identity politics issue. But now we've quickly seen that the economics is about identity. Their idea of how they're going to improve things like the economy that JD Vance and other things have said have been to do mass deportations, have been to pull moms and brothers and sisters and everybody else out of lines while they're trying to pick up their kids from school. We now are starting to see here in Pennsylvania, every single man who works for a lawn care company now has to wear a gaiter over their face. We're noticing that men who don't look like me all have their hoodies up. People are hiding. The tinting is going up in the cars. Everyone out here is scared. We're terrified. We have ICE just driving around the farm areas out here. And then the farmers out here are now complaining. I can't find workers anymore. Well, buddy, you voted for the guy who said he was going to get rid of your fucking workers. And because of that, now all of the berry prices have gone up. The berry prices directly affect toddler parents like me because these kids won't eat fucking anything else besides blueberries and raspberries. And the price of that shit's going through the roof, right? And then on top of that, you then start to look at all the other areas of the entire economy that have been propped up by things like social programs, right? So we had Head Start programs have been cut. You have all the different school programs that have been cut, Medicare, Medicaid, all these different things. People are starting to realize that when he was talking about the special interest, he was talking about all of us because every single person has a special interest, whether or not you have a kid that's in special education, whether or not you have a family of different documentation, whether any of these different things, there's going to be something that touches you. And now we finally got into the same situation with Trump that we had with Elon Musk. We had a lot of people thinking that he was smart because he was talking about things that they didn't have direct perspective or experience with. And now this idiot surrounded by his idiot cabinet have now fucked every single thing that all of us have touched. And so now we're seeing it across the board, whether it be in our front lawn, inside of our homes, on the internet, or at the grocery store. We're now seeing the effects of him everywhere. The only difference we have versus the Biden economy of 4 years ago is we don't have billionaires paying bot farms to run around and put "I did that" stickers on every price that's a little bit higher. Right. That's the big difference. We're starting to see this move here a little bit, but I guarantee you the economy is fucked Q1 of next year. The Q1, we're gonna have a fucking reckoning that people cannot process because right now we're all faking it for Christmas. Every company is faking it to get through this quarter, to get out their cash outs, and then a bunch of these guys are gonna be disappearing to islands while we do our purge year next year.
And
that's a good point. I mean, that's why Trump is taking a nap. I mean, because his job is done.
It is.
Yeah, no, he doesn't care.
He's a salesman. He's a salesman. His job was to get us all here on the monorail.
Yeah,
the monorail. The other issue is that everybody saw how Republicans responded during the shutdown, the Epstein shutdown, and they saw that Republicans did not give a shit when SNAP benefits were impacted.
Yep.
Republicans were fine with their own constituents starving could not feed their children, could not feed their families. Just maybe it was just for a few days, but when they went to the grocery store and their EBT card was denied and they could not feed their families, that's when it really hurts.
And-
when you find
right.
out that your own representative looked the other way when you couldn't feed your family, and they're pretending that that's not an issue. I spent 4 hours one day tweeting every single Republican representative with screenshots and the facts of how many of their own constituents were on SNAP so that I could say to Mike Johnson, 850,000 people in Louisiana are starving today because of you. In my state, it was 757,000. I can quote you about this, and they don't care. And that's what MAGA is finding out. My people don't care that I can't feed my family or my medical costs are tripling.
Right.
That is where
the
it
ACA
hurts.
stuff is right. And everyone's seeing the subsidies
That's
gone
real.
now.
And you
so
can't
you're
lie
looking
about
for a
it.
new right. So, well, let's take a break. I want to come back and talk about how Sabrina Carpenter and Franklin
I
Turtle
love
are standing
her.
up to Trump more than Chuck Schumer, which is kind of amazing. So let's take a break and come back with more of what just happened right after this. And welcome back. We're doing what just happened. It's continued. Carolina Hidalgo, Tara Dublin, Alex Pearlman, all champions in their own right, are back. So I found this really interesting. And also what I found interesting is the heavy-handed response by the Trump regime to both Sabrina Carpenter and Franklin the Turtle, the publisher, basically accusing them of being supporting of terrorism and illegal immigrant, all this bullshit. But we'll start with Sabrina Carpenter. On Tuesday, she slammed the Trump administration for using her song Juno in a video post on the White House Twitter account, which showed federal, ICE agents like roughing up people and grabbing them and handcuffing them and tackling them and chasing them. And she wrote, "This video is evil and disgusting. Don't ever involve me or my music to benefit your inhumane agenda." And then Abigail Jackson, White House spokesperson, responds to her saying, "Here's a short and sweet message from her album title in the past. We won't apologize for deporting dangerous, criminal, illegal murderers, rapists, and pedophiles from our country. Anyone who defends these sick monsters must be stupid, or is it slow?" Referring to another song. But the idea of slamming Sabrina Carpenter as somehow being supportive of terrorism and pedophiles and everything like that, to me, is as big of the story as Sabrina Carpenter going, and look, they call Zoran Mondani a communist. Trump doesn't care about private property. This is private property. This is your intellectual property. It's property. They'll use it, and they don't care. So, Carolina, I'm not sure. Do you like Sabrina Carpenter? I know one experience. I know.
Yeah, I can only name one song.
I like her on SNL.
Yeah,
she's very
I'm more
fun.
of a Dua Lipa, anyways, kind of fan.
Fair
But
Who is
the hilarious thing about them saying like, "Oh, she must support like pedophiles and criminals," I'm like, no, that is, as we all know, complete total projection because they are all in the White House.
Right.
So it's like, it's the whole Superman thing, Spider-Man thing. I mean, but instead, they are trying to put it on her, on this starlet, singer woman. I don't know much about her, unfortunately. As I said, I'm more Dua Lipa. I prefer
Fair
more
enough.
harder edge
I'm
pop
clocked
music.
in. I'm clocked in. Sabrina Carpenter opened for Taylor Swift. She also has been in a bunch of other different things. The big thing you need to understand, though, is that like a lot of people, and I know Dean, you know, Twitter and everything else. This wasn't just posted on Twitter. This video was posted also on TikTok. It was also posted on It was posted across all of their social media. She responded to them on Twitter. That was where she chose to make her response.
Okay.
Which would get the biggest,
gotcha.
which is a choice because that gets the biggest splash in the press because the press turns to Twitter over everything else. They always ignore Instagram. They always ignore TikTok. If she made that same comment over there, it would not have gotten anywhere near the views from people like the Washington Post, New York Times, and others. But in that response, she also ratioed the fuck out of the White House. She got like 1.6 million likes on that. But as I look at this video, when I look at that video specifically that they posted, because it is basically torture porn, is what the White House is posting using one of her songs. The running joke is that she has a song called Juno, and in that she makes a joke about have you tried this position, and then during her show she does sexual positions on stage, and there's a big joke about it. It's a running joke that the kids get, right? And the young Gen Z, they understand. And the White House, full of their Groyper staffers and their little neo-Nazi psychos that are over there enjoying their Twitter thumbs, they went and they said, oh, let's make this about handcuffing people, chasing men down the street, using body cam footage and more. And so when she spoke out about this, their attacks on her just make them look This makes the White House look as stupid as the people who run the Stop Anti-Semitism Attacking Miss Rachel account. Okay, I want to tie the two together because fuck that lady too. Because this type of thing is we're in a situation now where people who have a reasonable response, which is do not use my art for your awful propaganda message, are now getting attacked at a rate that is higher over nothing. They know they're failing. This is proof that the White House and this messaging and that this entire system is going to collapse because they have to attack Sabrina Carpenter the same way these other people had to attack Miss Rachel and now Franklin the Turtle, which they pulled him in.
Well,
Again,
we'll get to
they're not
Franklin
asking
next.
to be a part of this.
Well, Doug, I'm not familiar with Franklin Turtle. Maybe it has some hit songs. I'm not sure.
He does not.
No.
What do you take of?
But he was big. He was big back in my day. Yes.
And what do you
He's
make
for
of
the
like the heavy-handed response by the White House against someone who's really, really popular, Sabrina Carpenter?
Right. Well, if I can quote one of her other songs, please, 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 because I think it's a multi-leveled thing, multi-layered thing for them because they did the same thing with Taylor Swift. They see this beautiful blonde American ideal of a woman and assume that she belongs to them when they don't. They don't. Right. And so that's sort of the American ideal, the Barbie. Now, and they're adorable and sweet and outspoken, and little girls love them. And MAGA is jealous because nobody loves any of their artists. There's not the same groundswell of support for Kid Rock or a John Rich. So she has every right. Every artist has every right to control where their art is viewed, performed, consumed, and used. And she has every right to say, stop using my beautiful music, which makes people happy, to push your evil agenda. And that's bottom line. She has every right to do that. If you want to use music for your torture porn, get Kid Rock to write you a song about how much you hate brown people. Stop trying to appropriate. That's the other thing that they do. They appropriate everything that's good and then ruin it. That's what they do. And bullies always take something that's popular with the people they don't like and try to shit on it because they want everyone to be as miserable as they are, and they will never take responsibility.
Well, and
scapegoating is the default, right? They scapegoat as a distraction from Epstein. From Epstein.
And I think actually I might have an update on this right here because it looks like that they have muted the video. The video is still up on TikTok, but it's been muted. So they are no longer able to use her sound over there. It looks like she's probably copyright struck them.
Good.
Or her agency at least has copyright struck the White House on TikTok. And I'm not seeing the video on their Instagram anymore. It may still be up on Twitter, the free speech app.
Poor White House. They can't. And then we got Franklin the Turtle, which I've never heard of Franklin the Turtle. I don't have kids, and my nieces are older now. But it's a children's book series.
Yep.
And there was a meme posted by Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Beer and Tattoos, who's very upset with that he made this imaginary book series. Now Franklin targets narco terrorists because we live in the Soviet Union or something. This is like some kind of like Nazi porn for kids or something, but they're doing it here instead. And it says here the book showed Franklin in a green helmet and vest with American flags firing a rocket launcher from a helicopter and an armed man in a boat loaded with drugs. And it says, "For your Christmas wish list," Hegseth's caption. And then Franklin Turtle people, beloved Canadian icon, but I guess in America, said, "We strongly condemn any denigrating, violent, unauthorized use of Franklin's name or image." And then sure enough, the White House comes back like they did against Sabrina. And this time they said, "We doubt Franklin Turtle wants to be inclusive of drug cartels or laud the kindness and empathy of narco terrorists." I'm like, what kind of scumbags work in the White? And this was Sean Parnell who wrote this. What kind of scumbags are in the White? And the other one was Abigail Jackson, another scumbag. You have to be devoid of any soul to write this shit, to accuse a cartoon. So we'll go to you, Carolina. Do you know Franklin the Turtle? Are you familiar with Franklin?
Yeah. Oh, totally. The cartoon and everything. But what you're saying about the White House is that this is their work day. This is what they're doing. They're not governing. They're spending their time being like, okay, let's talk about Franklin the Turtle. Because I remember the cartoon. I don't remember. I think I had a book, but I remember the cartoon when I was very, very young, and it was great. And Franklin, by the way, would never fall for any of this crap, as we all know. Franklin,
I don't know Franklin, but
cool as shit. It's very, very cool as shit. But yeah, this is their day. Basically, it's like, let's do everything but govern, everything but Epstein files.
But and to Caroline's point, that also means that we're paying them because they have a government job. Yeah. They're using our tax dollars to go and make Franklin the Turtle memes. And in the image, by the way, Franklin is committing a war crime in the image. So this could technically, I mean, Dean, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but to me, is this not an admission?
I don't know if a cartoon can commit a war crime, but
Well, he is because he's double
This
tapping
is
the
not
boat.
Franklin. This is not the real Franklin. This is a deep fake. Yeah.
Is Franklin killing survivors? Then
Yeah,
that
what
would
he's
be a war
doing is
crime.
the boat is already exploding and burning, and then he's shooting another rocket at it. It is a double tap under maritime law.
I mean, I got an update. Franklin the Turtle was just arrested and taken to The Hague. So there's a cartoon turtle.
Oh yeah, well
at the
that's
ICC.
because because Canada actually respects the ICC, unlike
So
America.
There you go.
As opposed, so
They sent in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to show Franklin the error of
But
his
Tara,
ways.
I mean, getting to the point like the White House, this is their job. They know they can't use the unauthorized images
Of course they do.
famous things. So that's just part of the trolling, isn't it? To
Of
get
course
free
it is.
press.
They're trying so hard to own the libs. So it's basically again what I said earlier. What bullies do, because they're all stupid and juvenile and dumb and jealous. They find things that the people they're jealous of. They take what we love and mock it as a way to try to hurt us, which is stupid. Because they're all stupid. So, like for me, the walking MAGA bingo card. Because I'm Jewish, I'm single, I'm a Democrat, I have cats, I live in Portland. There's lots of things that they like just all the things that they can say. None of it is true. So the owners of Franklin, again, just like Sabrina Carpenter, have every right to push back and say you may not use his imagery for your fucking war crime bullshit, you drunken alcoholic wife beater. I'm just using my words now, but basically, right? And so they should sue for copyright infringement because that's what the White House did. They should absolutely do that. And it's a bunch of 12-year-old dipshits lighting their farts on fire running the White House Twitter account. They've changed language on the CDC website. They changed language on all of the websites. It's literally juvenile bullies running the government. And this is when we have to rise up with truth and facts and something that resembles dignity and be louder than they are somehow. That's what we're doing right now in sharing the truth and saying things to people. So many people aren't on Twitter. Lucky them. But for those of us who remain, the algorithms are being forced to push all of this crap in our For You feeds while our truth is being suppressed, which is why we have to be louder than they are every day, all day.
But also so we've got this trolling. Then there's a trolling that deals with policy. And we had this week with Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, they're rolling back. Like everything about them is to go backwards and not even figuratively, literally going back to different vehicle mileage rules so that now you can build cars. Now, who's going to buy these cars that have shittier fuel efficiency? It's going to cost you more, but they're doing it for the fuel companies. Fossil fuel gave Trump $1 billion or whatever you want. But the thing that got a lot of press was Sean Duffy saying, we can bring back choice to consumers. So yeah, the minivan is awesome, but maybe the station wagon is cool too. And I'm like, did you test this with anyone? Like, who's out there going, I wish I could get a minivan again? You can get any car you want. I have no idea what's going on other than we know fossil fuel companies want this. They love bringing down the fuel efficiencies, but what consumer is going to buy a car like that? Oh, this car, 1 mile a gallon. Really? I'm going to get it. Sounds great. Who's going to buy this shit? I don't get that. So Alex, I mean, going to you first on this, there's the component that's about the worst type of big money in politics. And the other is, I don't know what Sean Duffy's about, but I know they want to bring us back to the 50s. And this is just another example.
Listen, if we're talking about station wagons right now, then we're not talking about how he can't keep planes in the sky, right? Because a big thing about what Tara was just saying there about these guys being bullies is what you're actually talking about is SEO dominance. It's taking over the trending areas. Donald Trump does something ridiculous 6 times a day, and so that way you don't notice the other 10 things that they're doing in the background. And this is how his entire cabinet operates right now. This is every single one of them does this repeatedly. Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, all of them. Sean Duffy right now has a big issue. His big issue, right, is that he spent right before Thanksgiving telling everybody to pull their pants up. He told everybody to put on suits and to pretend it's 1960s and that we were going to get on these planes and then everyone would be nicer to each other. But he forgets that we live in America with Frontier Airlines, okay? It is the Frontier Airlines is the frontier. I have been spit in the face punched, attacked. I go to Philadelphia International Airport. You think I'm going to wear a suit? You want me to get mugged? No, no, no. Philadelphia is the sweatpants capital of America. I'll put on my good gray sweatpants when I go to wait for Frontier Airlines with no bag because they want to charge me $25 to use the overhead bin. Are you kidding me? No, absolutely not. But in general, with this guy who was a reality TV show contestant who somehow tricked people into getting into Congress, he's just another one where this is what the only thing these guys understand. The only thing they understand is how to change the subject. And it doesn't matter if the subject is also stupid. They just want us to not look at this other thing over here. And so when it comes to the cars, if we're talking here about mileage and all these different things, right? Then we're not talking about the fact that cars are more expensive due to tariffs and other things and shutdowns on how much the parts cost to come across the border from Canada or other different places. When we're talking about these things, we're not talking about chip prices for more cars have more chips in there. We're not talking about Waymos taking out Uber drivers and taxis and all these other different things. We're not talking about the fact that our infrastructure is falling apart because instead we have this idiot talking about station wagons, which I don't know if he's tried to park one of those things in a modern American parking lot, but fuck you, Sean.
It just sounds like
it's remarkable. But I mean, Terrence, everything. And I'm glad Alex brought up last week's about dress up when you go to the airport. This entire regime is about bringing America back to the 1950s, before the Civil Rights Act, before the Voting Rights Act, white male power unchallenged, and white male Christian straight power unchallenged. That's the world they want us to go to.
Well, we're not going there. Sorry, Road Rash. That's not happening. I think he's been binging Mad Men and thinks for some reason we need to live in a Don Draper world, which we don't. It's fun to visit, but we can't live there. And we're not going back to when people of color were forced to sit in the back of buses. I don't need to put on a suit to be a good American. I just need not to support somebody who's in the Epstein files.
Exactly. Let's bring it back.
Right?
Yes.
What I want to see, honestly, when Democratic surrogates go on any broadcast network news, I want them to do what Alex just did and say, you know what's funny about Sean Duffy is that Donald Trump is all over the Epstein files. And you know what's great about Pete Hegseth is that this is a distraction from Donald Trump being all over the Epstein files. And if you keep bringing it back to that, it shines a light on how stupid what they're talking about actually is. Alex is right. If we're talking about the paneling on old-fashioned station wagons and we're not talking about the Epstein files, they win. They win that moment.
But we can't only talk about the Epstein. I agree.
Sure we can. Sure we can. Because everything we're experiencing, everything that we are experiencing is a distraction from the Epstein files.
I think there's a lot of things, but I think there are real issues that are being, I agree with the distraction thing.
Of course there are.
The pardoning of the former Honduran president who was responsible for 400 tons of cocaine, who killed more Americans than bin Laden did on 9/11 with the cocaine overdoses during the time period he was dumping. I just wrote an article with the details showing the graph, how there's a connection between the years he was dumping the cocaine and overdose deaths. That should be talked about too, but
sure,
I agree, Epstein. So let's talk about Epstein for a second. December 19th is the deadline from the Epstein Transparency Act. We all remember the TikTok deadline, and Trump put that off and put that off and put that off, even though he had no power to. I wonder if by December 19th, if we get like, here's the Epstein files, like one word is like dear, and at the bottom, like are we? And then again, it'll still dominate the media. Whatever they give us will dominate the media. The key is to keep on it because they're going to redact everything. So, I mean, Carolina, Pie and Bondi never gives anything that hurts Trump. It's just not going to happen. But I wonder what we get. What do you think we might get? There's no wrong answers because we don't know what's in it.
Yeah, no, I mean, what we'll get is just what you're saying about like they're going to hide a bunch of stuff. What I really want to know is who else has the Epstein files, like BBC, like who else, like where else in other parts of the world, because it's
Russia,
not just
Putin?
the White House.
Oh, for sure.
We need to find,
Interesting.
other countries, other places that have it, and we all got to compare notes because obviously we're not going to trust this administration for anything.
I'm going to do a harshly worded Freedom of Information Act request, and that'll
should.
definitely get the entire. So, Alex, I'll go to you, then we'll come back to Tara here. What do you think we might get when the Epstein files are released? And by the way, when you look at the actual law, it's very broad. Everything the DOJ, the FBI has. There was when Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested, I mean, in her trial, they showed images of what the FBI took from Jeffrey Epstein's house, and they were hard drives of surveillance footage. And I wonder if we're going to get that. I had on Lisa Phillips, one of the survivors, who said Jeffrey Epstein videotaped everywhere and knew he was doing it to blackmail people. Do you think we'll get any of the surveillance footage?
I think that they'll release what they think they can use to hurt enemies. I think they're going to try desperately. Now, the one thing I say this a lot on my podcast, Crashing Out, with Phil DeFranco and Alex Pearlman, which you can find wherever you listen to podcasts.
Very
On
nice.
that show, I say it repeatedly, though, is the one thing that we have to constantly and fundamentally remember about this administration is that they are the laziest motherfuckers on earth. We have to remember that more than anything else. That's the reason why he did what he did on January 6th, because it was the last possible moment. It was the end of the deadline. The government was shut down for 40 days, and he didn't wait to try to pressure Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and others against to vote for this until the day before the vote. He had so much time to work on these things. They're fundamentally lazy. They're using, we've already had Freedom of Information Act information come out about how much money that they're pouring in. I think it was like $1 million in FBI overtime to do redactions. How many documents that have already been done and touched. We don't know what's been shredded. All these different things. The biggest thing we already have in here, though, is that we've already caught. The Attorney General and the FBI have already been caught in a lie. They said that there was no files, and now they're releasing files. They said these things didn't exist. They went from on their podcast, which 4 years ago they needed to get their Blue Chew money for. On their podcast, they could go over there and they could talk about the Epstein files all day. They got into power and then said there's not actually there. There is no actual conspiracy. None of this is actually happening. But everybody now knows. Everybody can now see. And what we'll see when we get some of this stuff has been the fact that there is corruption at a level of not only our government, but also across the powerful elite in this country that does not care and knows that they can get away with it, but also that we don't need to pretend that there's secrets like what happened with Pizzagate. Nobody's sending an email going, can I get a pizza? Means that actually is, can I get a 12-year-old? No. They will straight up in broken English text each other, when do you want to do this crime together? Because they know they're rich enough and they're never actually worried about falling for a crime. Because what will they do? They'll install a corrupt, dementia-riddled president who will just give them a fucking pardon.
It's Chinatown, the movie Chinatown come to life. I mean, that whole idea of the wealthy can get away with it. And Carolina knows movies. Tara, because you brought up Epstein file, the last minute before I give everyone a chance to plug their stuff. What do you think? It's 2 weeks away. Are we going to get anything?
We're going to get a lot, and we're going to get more than you think that we're going to get. Everyone's focusing on the pedophile stuff, which is gross and disgusting, and they're making excuses for that. What they're forgetting about is all of the financial stuff. When you follow the money, look, my Senator Ron Wyden is the ranking Democrat on the Senate Finance Committee, and he has been investigating the Russian money and the Russian funding of Epstein's sex trafficking ring and the American banks that were also involved. So JP Morgan Chase was involved. And, I've said this on your show before, Dean, and I think I told you something that you didn't know, which the Treasury Department has its own set of Epstein files, separate from what Congress has. And they will not, Scott Bessent will not let Senate Finance have full access to those Epstein files. And Ron Wyden will not give up. Weird, right? Scott Bessent, who is married to a man.
The law to see if it I'm going to have to look at the Epstein Transparency Act to see if it includes anything from Treasury.
Right. So the Treasury Department has consistently blocked anyone from Senate. They've given them like little tiny glimpses, but not the full access to the files. And so my senator and also House Oversight, they're aware, okay? Right. James Comer knows exactly about the Russian funneling and the money laundering and the $1.1 billion in just one wire transfer.
What happened to him? Remember James Comer was like all over the news? Now he's just gone. It's like, I don't want to do any of this. I don't like, it's so funny. He's
because he knows.
Right. He's House Oversight Commissioner. I forgot his name. Like he's not even talked about anymore. All right. Before we run out of time.
Right.
I just want everyone a chance
follow the money.
All right, follow the money. Carolina, where can people follow you? We have like a minute left.
Carolina Danger Hidalgo. I'm still on Instagram. That's the only thing I'm on left right now. But check that out. And No Dogs Pod. We're going back to punk. So we're coming back in early 2026. No Dogs in Space. Anywhere you can find podcasts.
Excellent. Tara, what about you?
I'm Tara Dublin Rocks across your socials. Tara Dublin Rocks 1 on Instagram. I wrote a book. It's awesome. Buy it, please. It's called The Sound of Settling. It's a rock and roll love story that has nothing to do with Trump at taradublinrocks.com. And please sign up for my Substack, substack.com/Tara Dublin. I am an unemployed political savant. Please sign up for the Substack, even at the lowest subscription level. It all helps because all I do is tell the truth.
And Pearlmania, where can people find you?
They can find me exactly where you said at Pearlmania 500 across socials. I'm at Helium Comedy Club in Philadelphia on December 20th and 21st. Too Many Tabs podcast, Crashing Out podcast, wherever you get all of those fun things. You just find me Pearlmania 500 and I'll get you the rest of the way there.
You were all great. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.